In this lesson, we will be looking at the workflow between Photoshop and Edge. Though its roots are in the print world, Photoshop, with its multitude of effects, filters, and controls, is commonly used as the imaging application of choice in a multi-screen universe. In any discussion around imaging in Edge, you can bet the conversation will inevitably turn to Photoshop and where it fits. Just be aware, this is not a Photoshop tutorial. We are simply going to examine how a multi-layer PSD image can be easily moved from Photoshop and put into motion in Edge. Let's get started. And the plan is very simple. What we're going to do in Edge is have this guy sort of slide in on the side here and sort of act as an introduction to a presentation around the Terracotta Warriors. Now, if we take a look at the layering, we've got a background layer. That's the warriors in the pit here. We've got a layer with a drop shadow attached to it. So if I just turn out the visibility, you can see there's the drop shadow. And we've actually got two text layers, one that's Terracotta Warriors and Xi'an, which is just simply two copies of the same text placed one over the other and just a little offset to give it a bit of a white drop shadow and some contrast out of the top here. Now the plan, as I said, is to get this in motion, and you can't just simply import a PSD image directly into Edge. Not going to happen. So what you need to do is basically export your layers. So we're going to start with exporting out the background layer, so you make sure that you've got everything turned off. And this layer here is a simple JPEG that's been blurred. And you go to File, Save for Web, and the Save for Web dialog box opens. It's more like a window. And what we're going to do is we don't need transparency or anything with this, so we're just going to turn this into a simple JPEG image. So we can just go with JPEG high. And don't worry about the quality because it's blurred out. Any artifacts that may be introduced into the image are really not going to be that noticeable, and it'll keep the file size down. You click Save. And I'm going to save this file as pit.jpg. Save. And you return back to Photoshop. Now turn on the warrior layer and turn off the background, and we're going to export our warrior. File, Save for Web. Now this time we're not going to use JPEG, we're going to use a Ping24. So we select Ping24 from the preset. And what Ping24 does is it gives you the transparency. So if you've got layers and you've got to be able to see through them and move objects around, Ping24 is your choice. And again, we're just going to export this one out. And we'll save this one as warrior.png. And we're back in the interface. Now, one of the reasons I have already saved the text is simply because of the fact that the text may be a font that's not commonly used on the user system. Remember, the basis of Edge is HTML, and I'm using Myriad Pro here for these fonts, and I just don't want to have it substituted with something else and then really screw up inside of Edge. So what I did was I just selected both of these layers and then saved it for the web as a Ping24. That way it was flattened into a bitmap and I can just drop it in. Okay, let's take our work and head over to Edge. And when you open Edge, give yourself a new document that is 600 by 400 in size, 600 wide by 400. Make sure that the overflow is hidden because our warrior is going to be coming in from the side here. And just give it the document name of Warriors. Now let's bring the images in. And I love this Finder technique, so we're still going to use it. And we've got three layers here, right here. The pit JPEG, the text PNG, and the warrior PNG. And just drag the pit. And this is one of the things I just love. You'll notice that I'm getting the coordinates, so as soon as I hit 0, 0, I just let go of the mouse and everything just drops into place. The layers are named properly. And I can now select the warrior and put him in motion. So you click on the pin, and we'll take the pin out to the 2.5 mark, and we'll move the warrior off of the stage, make sure that his shadow's not showing. And if we press the spacebar, you notice he comes in. And we should give him a little bit of an ease. So we'll click the easing button here, and we'll ease out, and we'll choose the quint. No, that's a little too fast. We'll go with quart. Press return, and let's see what it looks like. Command return or Control Enter if you're on a PC. This will launch it in the browser, and there we go. We've taken a Photoshop image, multi-layer Photoshop image, and put it into Edge. In this lesson, I've shown you how to export layers using the Save for Web menu item in Photoshop CS6. The trick is determining the type of image you want before exporting each layer out as its own separate image. When dealing with text, I also suggested you flatten it before bringing it into Edge.